Hi, another little quick video about being a volunteer at hospice and ways that we help our people, our clients and our families and our guests. So I thought I'd just introduce you to this compassion-focused therapy model that has been created by Paul Gilbert. And I really like this model. Remember, we're not therapists, but I really like the picture because it really explains nicely what our role is in helping people move through their humanness. So you can see on the model, he's got a drive system, a threat system, and a soothe system. The drive system is the motivated system. That is the system that makes us get up in the morning, makes us go to work, makes us want to achieve, makes us want to create, right? The threat system is that fight, flight, or freeze system. That's when we go into threat mode, when our reptilian brain takes over and our nervous system kind of kicks in and we kind of walk around like this a bit, Very often when families come into hospice house or when they come into a grief support group for the first time, you'll notice that they're in that fight or flight, right? They're very heightened. This third system is the soothing system, and that's our parasympathetic nervous system. Paul Gilbert says that we go back and forth most often between drive and fight or flight, drive and threat, and rarely do we go into our soothing system. So one of our roles at hospice as a grief support worker, as a volunteer person, as a facilitator, even sometimes in our resale shop or selling tickets or doing administration here, our role is to soothe. So I just want to talk a little bit about what that might look like. And I have some papers here I'm going to read, and so I hope you don't mind. I just don't want to miss anything. So at the beginning of creating a soothing relationship with people, sometimes we're just watching for their needs, right? Sometimes the best way to meet someone's needs is to leave them alone, right? So often you'll walk into a room, particularly when people first show up and they just need some time to settle. So it's just quietly introduce yourself and then back out of the room for a little while and then go back and see if they'd like a tour or something like that in hospice house. We're looking at the room, we're looking at them. Are they looking at us? Are they looking on their phone? Are they looking up? Are they slouched? Are they tall? Yeah, all of that body language is going to give you a lot of information as to how to best approach them. We're intentional. It's a split-second kind of a look, but we're intentional in how we do that and how we greet people. Sometimes, sometimes you're not the person that's going to do the job. Sometimes it's the nurse, or sometimes it's the care aide, or sometimes it's the other volunteer, or sometimes it's their big sister, It doesn't always have to be us. Sometimes we're not going to soothe, maybe we're just going to serve, right? We're going to get them their coffee or something like that. It's never about us, it's always about them, to always remember that. And sometimes, though, the need might be physical. So pay attention to that too, and make sure in hospice house that you're hitting the buzzer and getting the care aides to come and help the guests get comfortable, right? Or get the nurse for pain. Yeah, so those are parts of how we soothe. And then, if we do get to engage in conversation, we want to listen. We want them to know we're listening. So we're kind of leaning forward. We're nodding. We're not necessarily interrupting, but and we're slowing ourselves down, right? In relationship, there's an in-betweenness, right? It's Thomas Hubel says, I feel you feeling me, right? So we're feeling each other. And if they feel you as being calm and centered, they will start to slow down and become calm and centered as well. So so lower your voice. You can hear me. Lower your voice, talk slower, be mindful of your breath, right? You don't want to be breathing too loud or too fast, right? And then leaning forward. Facial expression, we don't want to match their heightenedness. We want to be calm. And so in the conversation, if you can name it, you can tame it. That is actually an evidence-based statement by Dan Siegel. And so we're listening to them, and then we're going to give them back those words, right? So if they're talking about how if they're angry because something happened at the hospital, it's appropriate for us to say, yeah, I see that you're really angry. Yeah. And naming it for them. Oh, because language helps us process. When we can have the language to process, we can process. So another way we soothe is we reflect back. I hear you saying, it sounds like this, right? Another way of soothing is to reminisce. People love talking about themselves. It's human, we all love talking about ourselves. And when people are able to talk about their history and to reminisce and talk about their families, they start to see their own value. And that's so important as they're on their journey towards death, to know and to have a real solid understanding that they in fact do have value and that their life was meaningful, right? So reminiscing is so important. And when people fall apart, we let them. We let them. We don't try to shut them down. We don't try to calm them down. Don't ever hand anybody a Kleenex. It shuts them down. It makes them think, oh, I'm not allowed to cry in front of this person. Make sure there's always Kleenex available and around, but don't ever hand it to them. And give them the opportunity. See, we have the gift of time. We can do that. Give them the opportunity to let it all out. And sometimes it takes a minute. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes. But we have the time. So, yeah. Yeah. And because everyone is different, it might look different. Everybody looks different when we're talking with them, right? Maybe we sit quietly with them. Or maybe we let them talk and say a whole bunch of words all at once. Or maybe we say some words. And then sometimes they're going to ask us a little bit about ourselves. And it's appropriate to say a little bit about yourself as a way to get them to talk more about themselves, right? So it's not like, oh, I can't tell you anything about myself. It's, oh, yeah, well, no, I was born here too. But not as a way to take over the conversation, but as a way to encourage them to continue their conversation and their talking with us. Sometimes sitting in silence is exactly what they need. Just sitting beside. I've had people say that, Denise, just sit here. And if you have that calm demeanor, if you're slowing your breath down, if you're being present, and if you're being open-hearted, I guess, they will feel that from you too. Just sit here with me for a minute. No words, right? And then sometimes we soothe by doing stuff, right? There's nothing better than bringing somebody a warm blanket. There's nothing better than helping somebody by getting them a cup of coffee or making a cup of tea for the ladies. Old ladies love cups of tea. There's nothing more wonderful than a freshly baked cookie out of the oven, right? So we get them stuff. Or maybe they have a pain, so maybe we're going to heat up a bean bag for them. Or maybe they need to talk to the nurse, so we're going to go and get the nurse. We're just watching, waiting, listening, and we ourselves are calm and soothing, soothed. And so even through that, they become more restful. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.